Hello everybody and welcome to Reviews That Don't Matter with Jessica Hit. My name is Jessica and on today's episode, yes, it's Tuesday, so it's the Gifted recap. This is season 1, episode 9 called outfoX. Also, have you noticed that all of their names of these episodes have X in them? Is that hard to do? Like, does it kind of suck that it's called the X-Men and not like, I was going to say the Demon, but that sounds wrong. Maybe like the S-Men. There's a lot of S words. I feel like X is a lot harder to figure out. Yeah, just a thought. Okay, if you watched last week's episode of my Gifted recap, you know I loved last week. This week definitely had a high bar to live up to, and you know what? It did it. I really enjoyed this episode. I did. I think the show is just getting better and better. I think it had a bit of a slump, kind of trying to figure out maybe what exactly it was doing, and now that we're kind of into it, I'm hoping it stays that way, at least until the mid-season finale, which I don't know if it's going to be next week. I'm assuming next week, considering Christmas is coming up, so I think next week is going to be the mid-season, and that is 10 episodes. So, I mean, if this is a 20-episode season, 10 episodes in the springtime, I guess that makes sense, right? Anyway, back to this episode. Okay, so basically this whole episode is about trying to break into the Sentinel services and free all of these mutants that they have either under drug control or about to have in drug control, these mutants that are going missing. They're trying to do that, so they have to hatch a plan and figure out what's going on. And while this whole thing is happening, you have, of course, Daddy Strucker and Mama Strucker kind of reeling from what happened in the last episode where Daddy Strucker found out about his mutant lineage, and his father was killed, of course, by Sentinel Services. So we have this whole thing where Lauren and Andy, the two Strucker kids, still don't quite know about what they can do together. They have somehow, apparently this Mutant Underground Atlanta place has a library, which I'd like to know the schematics of this building and like how big it is, what kind of rooms they have, do they have a mess hall? I'm just really confused. Anyway, there's a library in this Mutant Underground building. And Andy somehow has found a book that has their ancestors, the Von Strucker. Sorry, apparently it's a hard, Strucker is hard to say when you put Von in front of it, Von Strucker. Okay, we got it. Anyway, so they found out their great-grandparents, or great-grandpa and great-great-aunt, or yeah. Anyway, those two were basically mutant terrorists, and they were bad people, and they have kind of found that out. I don't think that they know quite that they could do what they did. They did, in the flashback in the first episode, you find out that they actually had an inkling. They have sort of felt that power when they hold the hands, because they have that power where Lauren can keep things together in a way with her shields, and then Andy can tear things apart. So together, I don't know what they make exactly. Who knows, really? And so they kind of know about their ancestry. And what I really like about this episode is that the parents decide to actually tell the kids so that they know. Like, Amy Acker's Mama Strucker, she is just like, dude, your dad kept this a secret from you. Are you really that happy he did that? And it convinces Daddy Strucker to be like, okay, I guess we'll tell them. And so they tell him, and then they kind of test it out, which I think was smart. I think it's better to try and get a hold of it than to, fight it and just like have it happen on accident and then possibly hurt people. And of course, before they take down the entire Mutant Underground building that they're in, the parents kind of step in, stop them, and they're like, what just happened? Like, what were you guys thinking? And it was sort of like they can't control this power, and I don't know if it's something that just needs to be honed in on, like most powers, or if it's a power that you legitimately cannot really hone in on. And I also like the insight of Lauren kind of feeling this power and feeling just drawn to it, whereas Andy seems more like he wants to be able to control it and use it when they can. But you would think it'd be the other way around, because Andy kind of tends to be that sort of temperamental Strucker, where Lauren is a little bit more like, on the safe side of things, but she seems more drawn to this power than he does. And that's shown later in the episode when they are kind of trapped and they're thinking about getting out, and then Andy's the one that pulls away because he's going to take the entire building and kill everybody there. A couple episodes ago, you would have thought that Lauren would be the one that would be calming down Andy. But, I like that role reversal. I like this idea that she might be the one sucked in by these powers and not him, because we have been led to believe it'd be the other way around. So let's actually get into the plan of how they end up in these sort of facilities, the Sentinel facilities. There are two main buildings, the actual Sentinel building, and then, of course, you have this the power source of the building, I guess you would say. And we know some of this information from what the new mutant, who can kind of like read your mind in a way. I don't know her name just yet. She's a little sketchy, I'll tell you that. But she says that Sentinel Services has her family. I don't know if I believe that or not. And she's very adamant about going and getting these mutants out. And so with her information, and then with the sort of cyber mutant that has sort of found these like facilities using, I don't know, some cyber computer stuff. So they kind of come up with a plan, but we have to figure out like really what's going on with security, like what do we have to get past? You can't go in there blind. So Dreamer and Polaris, I love their team up. They just worked really well together, and they go to a bar where a lot of Sentinel Service members go to drink after work, and of course they fall in line with the little security guard that works at the power plant, and they get some information out of him after, Polaris punches him with a freaking like spoon thing. Jeez, it's just rough. And then Dreamer takes them. Man, those two are dangerous together. So basically, they need people attacking the power facility to turn off the power to make it easier for the actual fighting team to go into Sentinel Services to get out all of these mutants, which is going to be a task because we don't know how many mutants there is. I'm assuming there's a lot from what we've seen so far. So the teams are, for the power facility, it is Clarice, Dreamer, and the Strucker kids, with the Strucker parents kind of being in a van, kind of doing a lot of surveillance. And then you have, of course, Polaris. Eclipse is his name. Marcos is Eclipse, that's his mutant name. And then Thunderbird, as well as the new mutant, which I still don't know her name. The one that's sketchy, though. So the plans are going pretty well at the moment. Clarice gets them inside, and you have the Strucker parents who are trusting their kids and allowing them to do this because there's really no one else that can do it. Plus, their powers are awesome, so you think they can kind of get themselves out of any mess. Apparently not. And so they're kind of going around, and they have an interaction with someone. Dreamer kind of tricks him and like takes the memory, and he's just like, I don't quite know the extent of her thing. Like, she can take memories and she can put false memories into a person's mind. So I kind of want to explore that a little bit more. I like how they're also not like antagonizing her anymore. Like, she's not that antagonist that we kind of met at the beginning. She has a heart to her. You see that she's a good person, and she's kind of made up with Clarice, and they seem a little bit closer. And I think that this could bond them more, and I like that. I don't like this whole, I don't like it when they turn two people against each other just because they like the same guy or something like that. Like, you're all on the same side. Like, let's calm everything down. We can probably work together and find something that we like about each other. Let's just be nice. But while all of this is happening, the big baddie Sentinel guy, who I really don't know his name, and I'm probably never going to learn it, the bald guy who lost his kid, he has this inkling that they're going to be under attack. Because obviously after what happened at the antique shop in Chattanooga, or wherever Grandpa Daddy Strucker was living and was shot, like after that whole thing happened, he's like, they're going to be doing a counter-strike for us at some point. And he just knew from the people that had called out sick or like that were gone from the thing that they were going to go to the power plant. And if that goes down, Sentinel Services main building goes down. So he knew. He basically got everybody to go to the power facility, and that's where all hell breaks loose. First, we lose Clarice, who gets kind of tackled by those sentinel spider things that have basically been adjusted to be stronger. Like, every interaction that they have, they learn from. And so last time Andy was able to tear him apart, now he can't do it I mean, they're basically the precursor to what we saw in Days of Future Past with the actual Sentinel services, like robot things, which is scary. And also, it totally makes sense that this would be kind of that lead up into that apocalyptic world that we saw in Days of Future Past when Wolverine had to be sent back. Mind sent back into, the 60s or 70s, the 70s, I think it was. So he sent back into the 70s to, figure all this stuff out. I totally see how we could be leading up to that, and I'd actually really like to see something like that. And then after we lose Clarice, Dreamer kind of sacrifices herself to hold back some of the people, which, her powers can't do too much in that situation, and basically tells Andy and Lauren to run for it. And they do, but they're in the basement, and they decide that, they're going to take the building down. And then Andy, like I said, he stops at the last minute. They're going to kill everybody in the building if they do that. And then they end up being caught by a whole bunch of Sentinel Service guys. They got those things around their necks so that way they can't utilize their powers, which, let me get to that for a second. I feel like that's not going to work for Andy and Lauren in the sense that I think they could still do that power if they really needed to, because they seem to be upwards of the more powerful type of mutant you will ever meet. And also, their ancestors, Von Strucker siblings, they were supposedly part of this Hellfire group, which is that the precursor to the Brotherhood or something, or a completely different thing. I would think it's different, honestly, because the Brotherhood, I wouldn't necessarily put them in a terrorist group, Hellfire could be a legitimate terrorist group. So I do think that the people in that group would be extremely powerful, probably still around but hiding, or just a secret society type thing. So I don't know why I went on that whole rant, but basically I'm thinking that their power is too strong for this thing. Individually they can't do it, but if they're together they could. So I think in this next episode we're seeing it happen. They're going to bring a building down. It's probably going to be the facilities. And who knows if they're going to kill people on accident or on purpose. And is that going to really affect them as people? I'm really, really interested to see what they do with that. Because, now they have 4 of the Mutant Underground, the big 4. And so it's really about getting them out now because Thunderbird, all of them, they realized the power facility was being attacked, that they had been made. And so they know, of course, what's going to happen. So it's going to be the Strucker parents. They're going to go after, I've seen the preview, so I'm going to go into this. They're going to go after the big bad Sentinel Baldy guy. Never learned his name. Anyway, they're going to go after him, so maybe he's going to work with them. And they're kind of, I just really like how they do that bad guy, too, because he's a villain, obviously, but he, makes sense. You totally understand why he's doing what he's doing. It's not just for crazy power. It's because he genuinely thinks that he's doing the right thing. So I feel like this next episode is going to be kind of they're going to be rounding up a lot of mutants to attack this building, and they're just going to have to figure it out. And I am so excited. I don't know if they're going to break them out this next episode or if they're going to save it. I feel like they're going to get out. And then it's going to be the mid-season finale. And then I guess we'll talk about what the second half of the season, if next week is the mid-season finale. But I don't even know. I loved this episode. I thought it was fun. It really got the plot moving. I'm so high on this. I'm still so enjoying this series. I want people to watch this more. I do. I hope you guys liked this recap. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment down below. What are your thoughts on this episode? Are you as high as I am on the last couple episodes? Also, don't forget to subscribe. I make videos Monday through Friday. It's going to be a good week. Got Riverdale's coming up. I also am going to be watching The Room, which is notoriously known as the worst movie ever made, and I'm very excited to watch it. It's probably coming out on Friday. And then, of course, The Disaster Artist is coming out. Cannot wait to see that. So I will see you guys tomorrow with another movie review. I don't know what I'm doing yet, so we'll see. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye.